Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Crystron Yugioh deck profile for post-Supreme Darkness. We got a bunch of new Crystron cards in the Supreme Darkness booster set. This is one of the decks that actually slipped past me for the new support from the Supreme Darkness set, so I figured I'd update it, being a synchro water deck that focuses on being able to make use for the special summon banish power to then perform quick synchros into our Crystron monsters, and then having those synchro monsters have ways to disrupt our opponent's plays, whether it be by banishing their monsters, switching their monsters to defense, you name it. There's a good variety of Crystron effects that utilize this playstyle. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the Crystron monsters, we'll go ahead and start off with the tuners. We're running 3 of the new tuner, Crystron Tristaros. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can special summon 1 Crystron monster from your deck except for Tristaros. Then immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon 1 machine synchro monster using monsters you control, including that monster. You can banish this card from your graveyard to destroy 1 synchro monster you control, and then special summon 2 Crystron monsters from your deck. Also, you cannot special summon from the X deck for the rest of this turn, except for machine monsters. You can only use this effect of Tristaros once per turn, but it's a great setup card making use of the destruction power of your Crystron synchro monsters, which also have the added option for additional card effects when they are destroyed by those card effects. So not only will you get 2 more Crystron monsters to then make another synchro with, you just have more and more options with those cards. We are limited to machine monsters for the summon, but the majority of monsters we run in the extra deck are machine monsters, so not really a limitation for what we can make. We're also running the additional tuners, being the 1 copy of Crystron Citri and the 1 Crystron Rion, having more of a special summon option for our banish monsters with Rion, and then with Citri during your opponent's main or battle phase, quick effect to target a non-tuner in your graveyard, special summon it. Its effects are negated then immediately after synchro summon. So depending on the levels we use for our Crystron cards, we can enact some different synchro summons using those monsters and these tuners. For another one of the new monsters we run, 2 copies of Crystron Solfador. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target 1 Crystron card you control, destroy it. If you do special summon this card, you cannot special summon from the X deck for the rest of the turn, except for machine monsters. If it's normal or special summon, you can send up to 2 Crystron cards with different names from your deck to the graveyard, except for Solfador, just giving you this level 5 monster for the option of special summoning onto the field, and then also just being able to have more destruction power on top of it. Depending on the Crystron cards you send to the graveyard, you could have more setup with the different named ones you sent off of Solfador. Being a level 5 monster, along with the next one being Crystron Sulfenir, also gives us more options for some extra deck plays, having a machine option to then go into Cyber Dragon Nova and then Cyber Dragon Infinity. For our Sulfenir, we're also running 2 copies of this card. If it's in your hand or graveyard, you can discard 1 Crystron card, except for Sulfenir. Special summon this card in defense, then destroy 1 card you control. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Crystron monster from your deck in defense, giving you access to the Solfador from the deck to then go into the Sulfenir. And like I said, the 2 level 5s can make some pretty good Cyber Dragon Nova and Infinity plays. Some of the lower level non-tuners, we're running 3 copies of Crystron Smogger. With this card, if you can target 1 face-up card you control, and it cannot special summon from the X deck for the rest of this turn, except for machine-type synchro monsters. Also destroy this card. If you do special summon 1 Crystron tuner from your deck, you can banish this card from your graveyard to add 1 Crystron spell trap from your deck to your hand. You can only use the effect once per turn for this card. It's just more setup. It's a very good 3 of just for the target option to special summon from the extra deck restriction for machine monsters, but then also having the special summon of Crystron tuner from your deck to then use those tuners to give you more and more plays. Having your Crystron cards giving you access to more cards in your deck like your Tristaros. We're also running 2 copies of our Crystron Third Survivor. For this card, you can target a face-up card you control. You cannot special summon from the X deck for the rest of the turn except for machine synchros. Also destroy that card and then special summon 1 Crystron tuner from your deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard to add 1 Crystron monster from your deck to your hand except for Thirst Viren. And you can only use 1 Crystron Thirst Viren effect per turn and only once that turn. So with this card, you either have the search option or the destruction play to grab you another tuner. Another 2 of just because they are searchable with other cards in the deck. With some of the 1-ofs for the Crystron monsters being the additional copies of our Crystron Prasiortol, and then the 1 copy of Crystron Rosenix. You can target a face-up card you control, having the special summon restriction with our Rosenix and Prehistortal, for just the added option for special summoning from our hand with our Prehistortal, or a Crystron token off of our Rosenix. All 1-of text, though, we run the deck. You really only need the 1-of copies for these cards. And then I also run 1 copy of Tidal Dragon Ruler of Waterfalls. Now you can increase the number of this card. It's just good for the Water Dragon setup, with your only restriction being the extra deck summons you make with your Crystron cards, but having a monster like Tidal just to give us an additional resource by using our own monsters as a banish cost can also help to then get those monsters back after they've been banished with this effect and an additional monster on the field. With our hand trap lineup being 1 copy of Drone Lockbird, 2 copies of Ghost Mourner, and 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. The 1 copy of Droll more for the fact that we are running the Crossout Designator in the deck as well, to use these hand traps as well to stop any that our opponent may try to activate against us when we try to make our own plays. For the spells, we run 3 of the new spell Crystron Inclusion. When this card's activated, you can add 1 Crystron card from your deck to your hand, except for Crystron Inclusion. The first time each Crystron monster you control be destroyed by battle or card, or each turn, it is not destroyed. And having this battle effect definitely will come in handy. It is not destroyed. And you can banish this card from your graveyard to target a Crystron monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use this effect of Inclusion once per turn, and you can only activate 1 Inclusion per turn as well. Having the option for destroying Inclusion off of its own activation to add a Crystron card, and then have a destruction target gives you the banish play from the graveyard to then special summon an additional Crystron card. So you'll use the added target effect of a face-up card using your Crystron cards as the destruction power for Inclusion to then use in the graveyard to banish and special summon another Crystron card from the graveyard also. For the one-ofs, we're running the 1 copy of Crystolic Potential, just a field spell for the added boost, and once per turn during the end phase, being able to draw cards equal to the number of Crystron synchros we control, so just more hand consistency as well. 1 Monster Reborn, along with the 1 Foolish Burial, the 1 Call by the Grave, and the 1 Pot of Prosperity for the rest of the one-of spell lineups, with the final spells in the deck just being the 2 Crossout Designator for, once again, stopping any of our opponents' hand traps they might use against us by banishing our own. For the traps, we run 1 copy of the new Crystron Cluster and the 1 of the older Crystron Impact, being able to have more special power with Impact, but Crystron Cluster being able to make it so our Crystron cards cannot be banished by our opponent's card effects. You can target a face-up card in the field, or you can target 2 if you control a Crystron Synchro monster, shuffle 1 Crystron card in your graveyard or banishment into the deck, and then destroy the targeted cards, destroying your own Crystron cards and then potentially more of your opponent's cards as well thanks to this trap. With the rest of the traps being 3 copies of Infinite Permanence, just once again another hand trap spot, another potential Crossout Designator target as well, and then the 1 copy of Gozen Match and the 1 Rivalry of the Warlords, because our Crystron extra deck synchros are all water machine monsters. Having both of these cards will restrict our opponent more than any of the main plays we try to do in the deck. And then for the synchros, 2 copies of Crystron Eleskeletus. All monsters you control lose 500 attack and defense, or your opponent's monsters. It would be very bad if they were your own monsters. You can only use each of the following effects of Eleskeletus once per turn. If it's synchro summon, you can add 1 Crystron card from your graveyard or banish to your hand. If it's synchro summon card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Crystron monster in your graveyard or banishment, giving you back that resource if you have to use Eleskeletus as that destruction card, lowering your opponent's monster's attack, but also just being able to add an additional Crystron card can use Eleskeletus to continue your plays. And being a level 7 new synchro, it's also easily made with cards like Solfador and Tristaros as the 2 targets, using the Tristaros effect to then summon out this card and go for the synchro play of it. We're also running the 1 copy of Crystron Quandax, being a level 4 synchro tuner option as well. Amtrex for the defense play of switching those monsters to defense to use. The 1 Crystron Phoenix to banish all spell and traps your opponent controls. And then the Quarion Gondrax as the added synchro play to target monsters your opponent controls or in their graveyard up to the number of synchro materials used for this card and banish them all. Just all good water machine Crystron synchro options to make use of in the deck against our opponent. More machine monsters include the 1 Samurai Destroyer, the 1 FA Dawn Dragster, and the 1 Navy Dragon Mech, with the only non-synchro being the 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, if you have the setup to do so, just being able to summon out a monster effect negator thanks to this card. For the Xyz monsters, 1 copy of Cyber Dragon Nova, the 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity, and then the 1 Sky Crisis. For more machine options for these 2, if you want to run Zeus instead of Sky Crisis, you can always put it here since it is a machine monster, not a fiend, to overlay over the Infinity once you've used up the materials. And then for the links, I barely go into the links, but having just more options for more generic plays for these spots. If you didn't want to run the link monsters, you could always put in just more copies of the Crystron Synchros for this spot also. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, the added setup with our Crystron Tristaros definitely does help with the added card effect, especially when a Crystron monster from our deck, except for Tristaros. So just having this card be searched, if it's our only option, let's say we have hand traps and then just the one inclusion, we can then activate the inclusion, summoning out the Tristaros after we add this card as well. Then summoning out that monster we control for that added option for the monster. So when our opponent activates the effect, being able to then grab our Solfador from the deck, go for the level 7 Synchro using those 2 cards to then summon out our Eleskeletus. This can then give us the additional monster to use, so that on that following turn, being able to use the effect of target a face-up card we control, so then we can target the inclusion with this card also, and then for the card, destroy that target, special one Crystron Tuner from your deck, so then we can use this card to grab another Tristaros. We then have the level 5 Synchro option of our Crystron Amatrex with these 2 cards, or if you have the added option for destroying your Eleskeletus, you can either go for that or the banish of your inclusion to summon out another monster from the graveyard to the field, giving you the added play for that monster. Also, you'd need 2 tuners for the additional summon of your Quarandrax, but then you also just have some of the bigger plays to make use of, whether it be into your Crystron Phoenix, using the level 9 monsters, or needing the tuner synchro monsters to do so as well. So depending on the synchro you want to make out with these monsters. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.